Picture a moment we've literally all experienced. You're strolling down a supermarket aisle, and right there on the shelf, you spot it, a chocolate bar. It's smooth, perfectly rectangular, and wrapped in this incredibly colorful, shiny packaging. It just feels so accessible, right? So simple. But that little rectangular treat is actually hiding an astonishing story. A story of nature, intensive manual labor, and pretty complex global economics. So, that brings us to the big question we're unpacking today. Have you ever wondered why a genuinely good chocolate bar costs so much? It's so easy to just grab that bar in a beautifully air-conditioned store and completely forget where it came from. But the answer to that price tag begins thousands of kilometers away, deep in hot, humid tropical forests. Today, we're going to strip away the shiny wrapper and dive into the demanding, super fragile, and frankly incredible journey behind every single bar of chocolate. Section 1. The fragile cocoa tree, growing the world's most demanding crop. Okay, let's dive into this by looking at the literal source of our favorite treat. Every piece of chocolate you've ever eaten starts with a tree that is, well, incredibly fussy about where it wants to live. Cocoa trees grow almost exclusively within this super narrow band, just 20 degrees north and south of the equator, in places like Côte d'Ivoire, Ghana, Ecuador, Brazil, Indonesia, and Nigeria. And they don't just grow anywhere in those regions. Oh no, they demand a perfect storm of conditions. We're talking rich soil, constant, unwavering warmth, regular rainfall, and at the exact same time, protection from harsh, direct sunlight. It's a highly delicate balancing act, just for the tree to survive, let alone thrive. And this perfectly highlights the sheer patience required to farm cocoa. 3 to 5. That's the number of years a farmer has to wait, even under those perfect conditions we just talked about, before a newly planted cocoa tree produces its very first pods. Imagine that, investing your time, your land, and your labor, and having to wait up to half a decade to see a single pod. And honestly, that waiting period, it's really just the beginning of the hard work. Section 2. A painstaking harvest. The labor-intensive reality. When those trees finally do produce, the pods don't hang neatly from the ends of small branches like apples. Bizarrely, they grow directly out of the main trunk and the thicker limbs of the tree. And because of this incredibly unique and fragile setup, there is no way to harvest them with large automated machines. Everything has to be done by hand. First, workers carefully cut every single right pod from the trunk using machetes or specialized knives. This takes extreme precision, because one careless swing of that blade, you can permanently damage the tree and ruin its future harvests. Second comes another painstaking task, splitting each pod wide open by hand. And finally, workers have to manually scoop out the sticky beans from inside. Now here is where things get really interesting. You get about 30 to 50 cocoa beans per pod, and they're surrounded by this sweet, white pulp. But here's the shocker. If you were to taste one of those fresh beans straight out of the pod, it would taste absolutely nothing like chocolate. No way. They are intensely bitter, highly astringent, and honestly pretty unpleasant. So getting from this harsh, raw seed to a delicious chocolate bar requires what is basically a miraculous chemical transformation. Section 3. The magic of fermentation. Transforming bitter to beautiful. Now, what's really interesting about this step is that the true identity of chocolate is actually born out in the jungle, way before it ever sees a factory. Fermentation is one of the most absolutely crucial yet least understood steps in making chocolate. Farmers take those fresh beans and pile them into wooden boxes or wrap them up tightly in banana leaves for 5 to 7 days. During this time, natural yeasts and bacteria just go to town, feeding on that sweet, sticky white pulp we just talked about. And as they feed, they trigger hundreds of complex chemical reactions. This right here is where the rich aromas and flavors of chocolate are actually created. Put simply, without this natural fermentation, there is literally no chocolate flavor, period. Just to give you an idea of how intense this natural chemical reaction really is, take a look at this temperature. 50 degrees Celsius. That's over 120 degrees Fahrenheit. The natural fermentation process generates so much raw heat inside those wooden boxes or banana leaf piles that the temperature absolutely skyrockets, fundamentally altering the cellular structure of the beans. Following that intense week of fermentation, we move right into days 8 through 14, sometimes even longer, for sun drying. Farmers spread the beans out and have to constantly rake and turn them, completely by hand, under the blazing hot sun. It's a total tightrope walk. If they dry too slowly, mold develops and ruins the whole batch. But if they dry too quickly in the harsh sun, those beautiful flavors we just built up never fully mature. Only after they are perfectly dried can they finally move to the last step, getting packed into huge sacks and shipped all around the globe. Section 4. From nibs to luxury, the factory transformation. Okay, so now we've left the grueling heat of the tropical farm and entered the highly controlled, sterile environment of the industrial chocolate factory. This is where that rough, fermented agricultural product finally starts to resemble the sweet treat we know. Step 1, the shipped beans are thoroughly cleaned. Step 2, they're roasted, kind of like roasting coffee beans. This heat unlocks hundreds of additional flavor compounds. Step 3, the outer shells are removed, leaving behind just the pure center, what we call cocoa nibs. And finally, massive grinders crush those nibs into a thick, glossy, rich liquid called chocolate liquor. And just to be clear, despite the name, there is absolutely zero alcohol in it. It's just pure cocoa solids and natural cocoa butter. Next up is a remarkably critical phase that directly impacts that final price tag at the store: conching. It's this deeply time-consuming process where huge, heavy machines slowly mix, massage, and aerate the chocolate. Depending on who's making it, they blend that chocolate liquor with more cocoa butter, sugar, milk powder, maybe some vanilla, and then they just let these massive machines run, sometimes for several hours, sometimes for several days. The longer it conches, the more the bitterness drops and the smoother, creamier the mouthfeel gets. But as you can guess, every extra hour those machines run dramatically drives up the production costs. And this is exactly why not all chocolate is created equal. On the top here, luxury premium chocolate maintains a high percentage of those deeply expensive core ingredients, cocoa solids and pure cocoa butter. But down on the bottom, bargain chocolate often cuts corners. They strip out the expensive cocoa butter and replace it with much cheaper vegetable fats. So they might look pretty similar sitting next to each other on the shelf, but when you factor in the farming practices, the fermentation quality, the roasting precision, and the sheer hours spent conching, they are literally worlds apart. Section 5. The global cocoa crisis. Why prices are surging. So we understand the immense effort it takes to make just a single bar. But that brings us to the macroeconomic reality we are all facing right now. The biggest reason chocolate is getting more expensive lately is actually remarkably simple. There just isn't enough cocoa to meet rapidly growing global demand, especially with millions of new consumers in developing economies buying chocolate for the very first time. Meanwhile, the supply side is facing this overwhelming compounding list of threats. A lot of existing cocoa trees are aging and producing way fewer pods. Entire plantations are being totally wiped out by black pod disease and the swollen shoot virus. On top of that, climate change is bringing hotter temperatures, longer droughts, and completely unpredictable weather, which, as we know, is disastrous for a plant that needs such precise conditions. If it's too dry, flowering drops. If it rains too heavily, entire harvests are destroyed. Add to all this severe labor shortages. Since the crop demands so much manual labor, fewer available workers and rising agricultural wages mean the baseline cost of farming is just inflating year after year. And the costs don't just magically stop at the edge of the farm either. Beyond those massive agricultural hurdles, literally every single logistical step has gotten more expensive. Transport, the energy required to run those massive conching machines, fertilizer costs, packaging materials, international shipping rates, they all stack up. Every single one of these line items adds directly to the final retail price of the chocolate bar you toss into your shopping cart. So, bringing this all together, I want you to remember this incredible journey the next time you unwrap a piece of chocolate. You are not simply eating a sweet treat. You are tasting years of patient tree growth. You are tasting days of careful, intensely hot fermentation out in the jungle. You're tasting weeks of manual drying, hours of precise roasting and conching, and the incredibly hard work of millions of farmers whose entire livelihoods depend on one of the world's most delicate, demanding crops. It really is an extraordinary global journey shaped equally by nature and human craftsmanship. Which leaves us with this final thought to ponder. Given the highly fragile nature of the trees, the incredible amount of manual labor, the massively time-consuming factory processes, and the mounting threats of disease and climate change, is the true cost of chocolate finally catching up with its extraordinary journey? It certainly makes you appreciate that smooth, shiny bar on the supermarket shelf in a whole new light.